We've just received jaw-dropping news straight from the federal courthouse in New York. Actor Brad Pitt made an unannounced appearance clutching a tightly secured metal box. Insider sources claim it contains explosive evidence that could completely upend Sean Diddy Combs' case. As for Leonardo DiCaprio, his whereabouts remain a mystery. This is no longer just another criminal trial.
Warning, this content is not for the faint of heart. What follows is the verbatim testimony and evidence presented by Brad Pitt in federal court, documented on the 18th day of Sean Diddy Combs' trial. Some details may leave you stunned, reeling, or struggling to believe they're real. What evidence did Brad Pitt bring that drove Diddy into a frenzy, lashing out at his own lawyer, while Leonardo DiCaprio's fate remained shrouded in uncertainty? This wasn't a glitzy Hollywood premiere. Instead, Brad Pitt stepped into a high-security federal courtroom, sending shockwaves through Tinseltown's media. No bodyguards, no entourage. Just a steely gaze and hands gripping a fortified metal box, a vault containing secrets potent enough to dismantle the shadowy empire Diddy has quietly constructed over 3 decades.
I didn't come here to negotiate. I'm here to bury his twisted empire and to save my friend before it's too late.
What's inside that suitcase? A chilling audio recording from the basement where Leo is allegedly held captive? A video capturing a debauched party among the elite? Or perhaps a list of silenced victims, names the public still reveres as legends? Leonardo DiCaprio's mysterious disappearance sparked the darkest nightmare of Diddy's life. But what the mogul never saw coming was this: the man bold enough to expose him is none other than Brad Pitt, Leo's old comrade, once a titan of Hollywood alongside him. Somehow Pitt transformed from a bystander into the only soul brave or reckless enough to crack open this Pandora's box. This is no longer just a legal battle, it's a brutal showdown between light and shadow, between those who guard secrets and the one daring to unearth the truth. Welcome to the most perilous trial in Hollywood's history, and it all begins with that suitcase.
We're standing just outside the courthouse where chaos reigns supreme. Brad Pitt emerged less than 10 minutes ago, silent but with a gaze radiating unshakable resolve. The steel suitcase was carefully handed over to security personnel. According to insider sources, it holds the key to toppling Diddy. Eyewitnesses claim Diddy lost all composure, even lashing out at his own attorney. This is no longer merely a trial, it's a covert battlefield for the elite.
Early this morning, the New York courtroom was steeped in suffocating tension. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs, charged with human trafficking, extortion, and sexual abuse, had entered its 4th grueling week. Witnesses, from former assistants to once close confidants, had painted a chilling portrait of a criminal empire cloaked in fame and influence. Yet, even the most seasoned reporters couldn't have anticipated the pivotal moment that unfolded today. The courtroom doors swung open, and Brad Pitt, his face etched with solemn resolve, stepped inside. The crowd fell silent. Stunned gazes locked onto him. This wasn't the first time Brad Pitt's name had surfaced in the trial. Diddy's former assistant Mia had previously testified that she saw Diddy assault Cassie Ventura at the 2012 Cannes premiere of Pitt's film Killing Them Softly. But today, Brad Pitt wasn't just a name dropped in passing, he was here to testify. "I'm not here for myself," Brad declared, his voice low but brimming with conviction as he stood at the witness stand. "I'm here for my friend Leonardo DiCaprio, who vanished under mysterious circumstances over a month ago. I'm here to expose the truth about Sean Combs and to protect the innocent lives he's destroyed. I won't rest until justice is served and Leo is brought back safely." The courtroom erupted in murmurs of disbelief. Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the planet's biggest stars, missing. And Diddy, already entangled in a web of heinous accusations linked to his disappearance. Questions swirled in everyone's minds, but Brad Pitt, with a steely, unflinching gaze, began to unravel a story that sent shivers through the room. Over a month ago, Leonardo DiCaprio vanished without a trace. No texts, no calls, no clues. His family, friends, and Brad Pitt, his confidant of over 2 decades, were thrown into a state of panic. "Leo isn't the type to disappear without a word," Brad testified in court. "He's meticulous, always has a plan. When he didn't show up for our annual gathering in Malibu, I knew something was terribly wrong." Brad, alongside Leo's mother, Ermeline, and his sister, scoured every possible lead. They searched his New York apartment, his Los Angeles mansion, even his secluded retreat in France. Nothing. His phone was dead, his social media silent. The police, despite launching an investigation, offered only vague responses. Hope began to fade until a fateful night. An unmarked package appeared at the doorstep of Brad's Hollywood Hills estate. No sender's name, just a lone USB drive inside. With a sinking feeling, Brad plugged it into his computer. The screen flickered to life, revealing a grainy, low-quality video, likely recorded by an outdated security camera. There was Leonardo DiCaprio bound to a metal chair, his face bruised, lips bloodied, clothes tattered. He was in a dim, grimy room, like an abandoned basement. A distorted voice cut through, "Prepare $10 million in 48 hours. Contact the police and he dies." The video ended with Leo struggling to lift his head, his eyes desperate yet flickering with a faint glimmer of hope. Despite the threat, Brad's first instinct was to call the police. But at that moment, his phone rang, a number he didn't recognize. Against his usual habit of ignoring unknown callers, a gut feeling urged him to answer. On the other end was Leo's voice, faint but urgent. "Brad, I don't have much time. They have no intention of sparing me or my family. They're planning a purge. Anyone who knows anything will be silenced. Protect my mom and sister, and listen, I have proof of all Diddy's crimes. It's at my old house in Topanga Canyon, in a steel box in the basement. Be careful, Brad. Diddy and his cronies are cunning. If you're not cautious, they'll drag you down too." The call cut off abruptly. Without hesitation, Brad whisked Leo's mother and sister to his Los Angeles mansion, turning it into a fortified safe haven. Then, under the cover of night, he drove to Leo's old house in Topanga Canyon, a remote woodland retreat where Leo once escaped Hollywood's glare. In the damp, shadowy basement, Brad found a disguised electrical cabinet. Inside was a sealed steel box with a fingerprint lock. By sheer luck, Leo had once shared the code with him during a drunken night, as a precaution. When Brad opened the box, what he saw horrified him. He vomited on the spot, his hands trembling uncontrollably. "I've starred in dozens of thrillers," Brad told the court, "but nothing could have prepared you for this horrifying truth." Brad confessed to a gut-wrenching mistake in court. After receiving the video and Leo's call, he went to the police. That same night, someone claiming to be an officer contacted him, instructing him to place the USB in a mailbox near a park for his protection. The caller warned that exposing Diddy publicly would lead to his faction killing you instantly. Panicked and swayed by the caller's authoritative tone, Brad complied, only to learn a month later that there had been no progress in Leo's case. "I realized I'd been deceived," Brad said, his eyes welling with tears. "That person might have been one of Diddy's operatives. Thankfully, Leo told me to back everything up. I kept a copy in a safe behind my fireplace. Today, I've brought it here to ensure justice is served." Brad stood before the court, his voice trembling yet resolute, as the prosecutor asked him to describe the contents of the steel box. He handed over a backup hard drive. The copy he'd meticulously safeguarded in a hidden safe behind his fireplace at his estate, to the prosecution. As the files were displayed on the courtroom's large screen, a deathly silence gripped the room. The evidence, painstakingly gathered by Leonardo DiCaprio during his time in Diddy's orbit, unveiled a criminal network far beyond anyone's darkest imagination. File 1, Purge Order audio and hidden camera footage. A 12-minute audio recording secretly captured by Leonardo DiCaprio during a clandestine meeting at Diddy's private villa in the Cayman Islands in 2020 played first. In it, Diddy's voice, icy and deliberate, discussed a purge with three powerful figures: a media conglomerate CEO, a high-ranking politician, and an international gang leader. "If you want this empire to stand," Diddy said, "no one who talks gets to live. I've already handled 3 others, including that actor, you know who I'm talking about." He alluded to a well-known Hollywood star whose mysterious plane crash death in 2018 had long been whispered to involve Diddy. Accompanying the audio was footage from a hidden camera Leo had planted in the meeting room. The video showed Diddy holding a handwritten list, reading aloud the names of 12 individuals, including Leonardo DiCaprio, marked as a priority target. One chilling moment froze the courtroom, Diddy ordering a henchman to silence anyone who had seen things they shouldn't. His sinister grin as he spoke of teaching Hollywood a lesson sent shivers through the jury. File 2, Sacrifice Ceremony video and Leonardo DiCaprio's journal. Next came an 8-minute video, filmed on Leo's phone during a secret party in a Paris wine cellar in 2021. It opened with Diddy standing before a masked crowd, presiding over a bizarre ritual dubbed the Sacrifice Ceremony. A young woman, bound to a stone table, was surrounded by crimson candles. Diddy, cloaked in black, recited a self-written scripture, proclaiming the girl as a gift for the empire's immortality. Alongside the video was Leo's personal journal, found in the steel box. Its pages chronicled his guilt and terror at witnessing the sacrifice ceremony and similar events over the years. A handwritten entry from 2020 read, "I tried to distance myself from Diddy, but he knows too much. He has footage of me at one of his parties. He said if I speak out, he'll come for my mom and sister. I've collected this evidence to atone, but I don't know if I'll live long enough to bring it to light." File 3, Project Babylon files, classified documents on a global trafficking network. A 200-page encrypted dossier, stored on Leo's Kessler hard drive, exposed Project Babylon, a global human trafficking network orchestrated by Diddy since 2005. The documents detailed slave contracts, fraudulent agreements signed with young women from Eastern Europe, Africa, and South America, promising modeling or music careers in the US, only to funnel them into Diddy's notorious freak-off parties for abuse. A chart revealed over 100 victims transported via private jets to 12 secret locations worldwide. Safe House Map, locations of safe houses in the Caribbean, Dubai, and Southeast Asia where victims were held captive. A handwritten note by Diddy described overseeing the breaking of their will through drugs and threats against their families. Cold-blooded transactions, lists of gifts, cash, properties, yachts sent to influential figures to cover up the crimes. As the files were displayed, a satellite image of Diddy's private island appeared, revealing an area labeled the Glass Cage, a prison-like facility where victims were confined. A single line in the document sent ripples through the courtroom. After use, take them to the furnace. Leave no trace. With each video and document revealed, gasps echoed through the room. Some jurors covered their mouths, unable to look at the screen. Diddy's daughter, seated in the gallery, broke down in tears and fled, unable to bear the sight of her father in the horrific footage. Diddy at the defendant's table kept his head bowed, but his eyes burned with fury, as if already plotting retribution. When the judge asked Brad how he obtained the evidence, he recounted Leo's story. Leonardo collected it over years. Brad said, he was once close to Diddy, but gradually saw through the facade. Knowing he could become a target, Leo meticulously preserved everything as a safeguard. He guided me to it during his final call. Brad paused, his voice catching. Leo's been missing for over a month. I believe he seized a moment when his captors weren't watching to contact me. He urged me to protect his family and bring this evidence to light. Brad's testimony stretched for hours, but the most poignant moment came when he turned to the judge, his voice trembling yet unwavering. Your Honor, I'm not here just to accuse Diddy. I'm here to plead for help in finding my friend. Leo is out there somewhere, possibly imprisoned, maybe tortured. He risked everything to gather this evidence, not just for himself, but for dozens, perhaps hundreds of other victims. I don't know if he's still alive, but I know he wouldn't want me to stay silent. Please, send the police to search for him. Every second that passes, I fear he's enduring the same horrors as the victims in those videos. Please, save Leo. The courtroom fell silent. Several jurors wiped away tears. The judge, stern-faced, nodded and vowed to request an urgent investigation by authorities into Leonardo DiCaprio's whereabouts. To bolster the case, the prosecutor introduced additional evidence, testimony from Adam Sandler, recorded earlier in the trial. Sandler, another of Diddy's victims, had described how Diddy manipulated him psychologically, coercing him into bizarre situations and threatening him with secretly recorded videos. Diddy made me feel like I belonged to him, Sandler had said. He traps you, makes you feel indebted, like there's no way out. Sandler's account reinforced Diddy's pattern of using power, wealth, and intimidation to dominate friends and colleagues, making the idea of him orchestrating Leo's abduction entirely plausible. Sandler also provided security footage, recovered from Diddy's cloud account, showing Diddy ordering a group to deal with an uncooperative individual. This footage, combined with Brad's evidence, painted a vivid picture of a sophisticated criminal network where Diddy not only exploited individuals, but also ran a system of extortion and elimination. Diddy's legal team, led by Mark Agnifilo, a master of defensive strategy, launched a razor-sharp counterattack. They argued that the evidence presented by Brad Pitt, videos, documents, and a recorded conversation between Diddy and his mother was unreliable and potentially fabricated. With a tone laced with subtle mockery, Agnifilo declared, Mr. Pitt is an actor, a Hollywood icon with a gift for transformation. Who's to say this isn't an elaborately staged script designed to ruin my client? They questioned Pitt's motives, criticizing his decision to bring such explosive evidence to court rather than immediately alerting the police. Why would someone like Brad Pitt, with a storied reputation and a glittering career, risk everything to present an unverified tale? Is he chasing attention, or is this part of a larger conspiracy? Agnifilo's cutting remarks initially swayed the jury, casting a shadow of doubt, but those doubts quickly dissolved when the prosecution, led by seasoned prosecutor Maureen Comey, presented verified evidence. The videos, documents, and audio had been rigorously authenticated by independent experts, confirming their legitimacy. These materials didn't just pertain to Leo, a victim allegedly murdered by Diddy, but painted a chilling portrait of a decades-long criminal enterprise. From allegations of sexual abuse and extortion to money laundering, Diddy had seemingly built an empire not only on musical talent, but on manipulation and violence. Throughout the trial, Diddy maintained an icy, almost statuesque demeanor. Yet, in rare moments, flickers of panic in his eyes betrayed him to keen observers. When the recording of his conversation with his mother echoed through the courtroom, Diddy's hands clenched, his fingers gripping so tightly they seemed to hold back a tempest of emotions. Some spectators noticed him whispering something to his attorney, though the words were inaudible. These subtle gestures, though discreet, were like cracks in the flawless facade Diddy had meticulously constructed over the years. Brad Pitt's testimony isn't just a piece of the puzzle in this case, it's a wake-up call, a piercing alarm for those still lulled by Hollywood's glittering facade. As an unexpected witness, Pitt has placed himself in a precarious position. As one of the world's biggest stars, he has no need for more fame or attention. His choice to expose the truth, despite the risks to his reputation and personal safety, is a rare act of courage. It serves as a powerful reminder that even those perched atop the pinnacle of power and prestige can choose to stand for justice, no matter the steep cost. This story isn't solely about Diddy or Brad Pitt. It raises profound questions about the nature of power in the entertainment industry. Where is the line between influence and abuse? When someone like Diddy can wield wealth, fame, and connections to manipulate an entire system from stars and managers to officials, what responsibility do we, the audience who once celebrated him, bear? Have we, as consumers of music, movies, and pop culture, unwittingly enabled wrongdoing by idolizing stars, or are we merely victims of a system designed to conceal the truth? This trial is more than a legal battle, it's a profound lesson in courage and accountability. Brad Pitt's testimony proves that the truth, however painful or perilous, is worth fighting for. Yet it also underscores that justice doesn't come freely. It demands individuals who dare to stand up, confront threats and pressure, and prioritize the greater good over personal gain. Pitt, despite his stardom, is human, and his decision shows that anyone in any position can spark change if they choose to act. Beyond that, this case is a call to action for us all. In a world where power often breeds manipulation, each of us has a duty to question, seek the truth, and protect the vulnerable. The victims on Diddy's silence list, those who lived in fear and silence, may find hope in this saga. Pitt's bravery could inspire them to speak out, to believe that justice isn't an unattainable dream. Yet the cost of truth is steep. Leo's family, grappling with fear and loss, may find a glimmer of hope in this trial, but they also face wounds that may never heal. Those who enabled Diddy, from officials who took bribes to stars who stayed silent out of fear, now face the scrutiny of the public and their own consciences. Justice, even when served, cannot erase the pain inflicted, but it can be the first step toward healing and preventing future atrocities. As Brad Pitt stepped down from the witness stand, he was no longer the star of Fight Club or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was a friend, a man willing to risk everything to save Leonardo DiCaprio and expose the truth. But this story is far from over. Leo remains missing, and every passing minute is another moment he might be suffering. Brad's evidence has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, but will it be enough to bring Diddy to justice? And who will be the next to rise when the shadow of power still looms large? Today, we stand at a crossroads. Will justice prevail, or will wealth and influence once again bury the truth? Will Leonardo DiCaprio be found before it's too late? And you, watching this unfold, which side will you choose? Silence or speaking out? To keep following this journey to uncover the truth and stay updated on what comes next, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We need your support to continue investigating dark stories like this. In our next video, we'll dive deeper into the names on Diddy's blacklist and the secrets still hidden from view. Don't miss it. The truth waits for no one.